Hey everybody, I am Adam.
And I am Brian.
And we're here back with another edition of Member Spotlight, and we've got a good one today. Today's Member Spotlight is spotlighting a member who's been with us. This is their sixth season with us, 6 seasons. And in fact, their second season with us, they won season 13. And then they went on to win not one, not two, but 3 Keaton Invitational tournaments, including their first ever tournament appearance. And that was back season 12, Keaton Invitational number 7.
Wow.
So Brian, he has kind of definitely blazed a trail and really showed up. I mean, I don't think we've seen someone show up quite like that since probably Aaron. And well, actually, we've had Nicholas Brewer and a couple of people who won in their first season with us, but it's very rare to do that well.
Yeah, and Aaron did well early on as well, but not quite this much success, I should say. So yeah, this person, he was brought in by yours truly back in 2015, season 12, as Dr. Davis said. I met him at Cisco. And the person that is our guest today here on Member Spotlight is the one, the only, Alan.
What's going on?
Yeah, welcome to the show.
1 second. Caught me in the middle of something.
Yeah,
I didn't know it was time.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, boys.
There it is.
Told you the cat was making an appearance.
Yeah. So, Alan, welcome to Member Spotlight. It's hard to believe, man, that it's been since 2015 that you joined us, and wow, just time flies, and it's awesome. But yeah, first of all, tell us a little bit about how you got into wrestling, and we'll go from there.
So, I don't know the age of everybody, but probably close to one of the oldest people, I guess. Grew up in the South, like a lot of you guys probably did. Saturday nights, watching NWA. My dad and a lot of family members were big wrestling fans. So my first foray into wrestling was, of course, Southern wrestling, Mid-Atlantic, a little bit of Mid-South. Could catch that sometimes. But mostly it was my dad. He was he was an 80s wrestling fan. He technically is my stepdad, but it's the only dad I've ever known. But his last name was Rhodes. So he used to tell me when I was a kid that Dusty Rhodes was related to us, which, of course, his last name is not Rhodes. But, I was like 5. I didn't know any better. So I was a huge Dusty Rhodes fan because I thought he was in my family. So that's kind of what first got me in.
That's awesome. What would be like your first actual memory of wrestling, whether it be an event, an angle, or just something you saw like stuck in your mind, like this is for me?
Probably when it was Dusty Rhodes versus Ric Flair. I don't remember what event it was, but I remember it was Dusty Rhodes versus Ric Flair. He won the title. It was very short. I think he lost it back like a day or very shortly after. I'm not a wrestling historian or anything, so can't remember everything. But I think it was he lost it shortly after, or it was like taken back away from him. But it was Dusty Rhodes versus Ric Flair. It's probably my very first wrestling memory. I remember he won the title in the cage, and I remember all the baby faces came out to the cage and celebrated with Dusty Rhodes because he had finally beat Ric Flair. And I just remember my whole family being excited, my dad being excited, and of course, so it was exciting to me. I think I was, like 5 or 6, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Was that NWA, or I guess at the time?
The first one. That's my first wrestling memory. Yeah, that was NWA.
Okay, NWA.
Way before WCW.
Yeah, because I think it became WCW was 1989. Did a little research recently, so I guess that would have been sometime in the 80s then. classic Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes. So.
So, like, what about outside of wrestling? Like, what kind of gets you going? Like, what's something you like to do outside of wrestling? Whether it's hobbies,
Yeah.
yes.
Hobbies. So I collect whiskey. I don't just drink it, but I also collect it. I know it sounds weird. I spend a lot of. I mean, I collect it to drink it, but there are some bottles that I have that are pretty rare, hard to get, that you probably won't ever be able to buy again. I should have had them. They're downstairs in my actual office, but the kids are down there playing Minecraft, so I didn't want to.
Fun game.
Be down there because it's loud, and they probably run in. So I'm up in my bedroom actually. I got some bottles that you probably won't be able to buy, even if you wanted to. So I drink a little bit of them, but it's more like if I have somebody around that's a whiskey aficionado, or a collector or whatever, or before you used to die, if you go hang out with people, like before all that, like I'd go to like little whiskey groups and we do whiskey tastings, and all of us would share like a 1 ounce pour out of like $2,000 bottles of whiskey, and so that's my hobby.
I think that's fantastic.
That's cool.
Now, like, so are you, when you find your whiskeys and stuff, are you looking for just rare, or are you also looking for not just rare, but I don't know, something that grabs you? Is there something like that, or are you just going for rarity?
I mean, rarity is obviously in the whiskey collecting business. Rarity is obviously important. I mean, just like any collecting, if you collect baseball cards, you want to collect the rare things. But then there's also, maybe something is sentimental to you. So for instance, like my family's from Scotland and Ireland, and my grandfather was a big Scotch drinker, and he always had a lot of different types of Scotch. And so if I find something interesting that's Scotch, that's kind of a big thing.
Okay.
Wow. The more you know. So is there like any, like outside of wrestling, is there any other like sports or anything that you kind of love to be a part of or watch?
College basketball. About it. I like MMA. I like combat sports, period. I was a wrestler from like 5th grade all the way into high school. When I was in the Army, I did not like regular PT, because I didn't want to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go out to PT. So I joined a boxing club, and then I got to sleep until 7 o'clock. So did boxing for a while in the Army. So I mean, I like any combat sports. I took judo for years. So anything where somebody's probably going to get punched in the face, I like that. That's why Christian Laettner is my all-time favorite basketball player.
Oh yeah, Christian Laettner. He hit that famous shot against Kentucky back in 1992.
Wait, I messed up. No, wait, I hate Christian Laettner. Forgot.
He's
the one that got hit in the face. He's the one that got hit in the face.
Yeah. There's actually a 30 for 30 called "I Hate Christian Laettner." So funny enough, I don't know if you've seen it.
Edit that out. No, I hate Christian Laettner. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's terrible. all my UNC fans are gonna like disown me now. I'm a UNC fan.
Okay.
No, I meant Bill Lambier. I mean, it's just tall, pale, white guy. Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was part of that Pistons team with
the Bad Boys.
Yeah, the Bad Boys. Dennis Rodman was on that team.
Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars.
Yeah, the Bad Boys. Yeah, they were pretty good. Rough too.
Man.
So basketball is not what it used to be. I know that.
Yeah, rough. That's how I used to play ball.
Yeah.
Fat now.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
So, Davis, you want to get a little bit of well, in a minute, you'll get a little this or that here in a minute.
Yeah. Did you want to do another question, or do you want to go this or that?
Sure. No, man. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I was asking Brian if you had anything
Oh
else.
no, I think I'm not.
Okay. All right. Well, Alan, I know you're into music, and so I
Cheers.
wanted to ask you. Cheers. I mean, I don't have any alcohol right now, but I was going to ask you, what is one of the most influential albums for your life? Like, what's an album? Hey, Baxter. Sorry. Like that
Wow.
influences you.
Man, it's a good question. I wish
It
you'd
could
have
be a
prepped me with
couple
these.
too.
I
It
would
could
have
be a
had better
couple.
answers.
And hey, if
So
you don't have the answer right now, we can always come back to it if you want to.
Yeah, we can loop back to it. We can
Yeah,
loop back to it.
because I know that one.
I can answer it.
Okay.
It's a few different ones. So probably what I feel like is the greatest rock album of all time, "Appetite for Destruction" from by Guns N' Roses. I feel like it was just a freaking masterpiece. Definitely way ahead of its time, and it kind of came out of a time where all the rock bands were, wearing their makeup and all into that glam, and they kind of somewhat fit into that scene, but they were definitely more rooted into rock and punk. So definitely that one. Sex Pistols, Here Comes the Bullocks. Anarchy in the UK was probably the first, probably between like the Sex Pistols and any of the early Ramones catalog was like the first music that I heard that I realized this is what my music is. I knew this was music that if my parents heard it, they would hate it. And so, that kind of pop, like snotty, anti-establishment punk rock music. I think I was, God, man, it was like 7 or 8 too. So that's the thing. I probably really had no business listening to this music, but had a bunch of older skater punk guys that lived in my neighborhood, and so that's what kind of got introduced to. Public Enemy. I loved all the early stuff. So what happened with that is like, in 88, like 87, 88, 89, rap became kind of prominent, and it was still very underground, but in the punk scene is like the only, so in the punk rock scene was the only kind of scene that was accepting to rap music, that actually gave it an opportunity to be heard. And so these rap groups were playing, like, obviously I didn't go to any of these shows, but it kind of trickled down to me because I was hanging out with these older guys who were 19, 20, and they were skateboarders and I was learning how to skate. And so they used to go to these shows, and all of a sudden these rappers started, playing these shows. And so the rap music, underground hip hop, started trickling down to the punk music scene. So I got into stuff like Public Enemy a lot. And then when that stuff started coming out, it sounded so militant and like angry, and like, so it was very similar to punk rock music, just a different sound. And not my immediate family, like my mother, my father, but my extended family on my dad's side hated Black people. And coincidentally, I hated them. So this is kind of what I gravitated to. Yeah. So any of the early Public Enemy. Another one, Body Count, the Cop Killer album. That one. So you can take from that what you want. So that was a I don't remember what year that came out, but I know I was very young.
Yeah.
And then probably lastly, Two Live Crew, as nasty as they want to be. That's probably my
wow. See, that honestly,
they were influential in my life for sure.
I honestly expected more like metal, because like I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, Alan, but I thought you talked more about metal on Facebook.
Love metal.
Okay, I thought so.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't crazy. I honestly.
Dude, okay. I thought so too.
So I mean, I used to work in the music business.
Yeah.
You know, I used to like manage live, metal bands, and I love metal. As far as like metal is concerned, like I didn't really get into metal until later though. Like until like my late teenage years, early 20s. Like probably the most metal thing I listened to was like, oh, man, and they're not really metal, like Faith No More, Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
You know, they're more rock.
Yeah.
You know, when I was like younger, it was mostly punk rock and underground hip hop. I mean, Body Count was kind of metal. You know, Anthrax. I love. I'll tell you what. Not Anthrax. So if there is any metalheads in the group, I used to like SOD, which stood for Stormtroopers of Death, and some of the members of Anthrax were in that group. They were an influential band in my younger years. They're more political and hardcore.
Wow. Well, see that there we go. That was
that you learned something, right?
Yeah, I did. I really did.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And so if you're ready, Alan, we're gonna go ahead and get to this or that.
Sure.
All righty. So again, we explained how this works. Essentially, we'll give you two options, and you say this or that, or you can even say neither if neither one of them kind of floats your boat. And so first off, I'm going to go ahead and start out WWF or WCW?
WCW.
All right.
WCW.
Do we explain afterward, or
if you want
was it rapid fire?
Go for it.
How does this work?
It's up to you. I mean,
yeah, that's completely up to you.
So when I was younger, WCW was available on free TV, and I didn't have cable. Like, a lot of people in the early '90s, late '80s, we didn't have cable. It wasn't a thing. Yeah. I didn't really get into WWE until like a couple years after WrestleMania 3. And I know that was like a long time ago, but I was already so into WWE to me, or WWF at the time. To me, that was like a cartoon. And NWA and then subsequently WCW was real wrestling. And so that's why I'm such a huge, I feel like that's kind of why I'm big like New Japan Wrestling, because they beat the crap out of each other. So that's my reasoning.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the fair one. Like, especially, like growing up, I know, I remember like there was really, we didn't have cable either. And I didn't really get cable until I was much older. And that's when like my wrestling really took off.
Okay. WWF wasn't until my grandfather, he used to, my grandfather was a hustler. He was a lot of things, but he used to bootleg. He used to bootleg a lot of stuff, and so he used to bootleg pay-per-views. And so I used to go stay with him during the summer, and then he would record all the pay-per-views. And I remember, my first WWF anything was WrestleMania 3. And like I thought it was exciting, but it wasn't like, it didn't seem like real wrestling. That was a difference. You could tell it was a show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All righty. Next up, The Rock or Stone Cold?
The Rock, only because I've met him.
Ooh.
And
got to hear that story.
I'll tell that story in just a second. The only reason, like, I love Stone Cold now that I've got to like see him outside of wrestling, and he's done his podcast, and I've heard him, and I know a little bit about him. But no offense, and I hope this doesn't offend anyone that's in the group, and I'm not meaning to, because it's not like I don't have a problem. Growing up in the South, like a lot of people who were quote unquote rednecks, and don't get me wrong, like I moved out of the South and I realized I'm sort of redneck too. But I didn't really associate with that group when I was younger, and they were big Stone Cold fans. So I didn't like that group of people when I was younger. So and they hated The Rock. So I'm like, well, cool. I like The Rock. So you know, I used to work with an independent wrestling organization back in the 90s, and they're still going, man. They're going around for years. There's actually a guy that I'm friends with. His name is Clint Barrow. He's from Draper, North Carolina. He started in this group called AIWF, based out of Mount Airy, and he just got signed to WWE. He's got signed to NXT. He's starting in the Performance Center.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
His name's gonna be Chance. His name's gonna be Chance Barrow, which he's keeping the same last name. His wrestling name's gonna be Chance Barrow. So I'm excited for him. But what was my point? Damn it, I forgot. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Stone Cold Rock. So anyway, yeah, AIWF. So there was a guy who was a promoter / valet. He did some work for AIWF, and he had a wrestling store. Like, I don't know how old you guys are, but do you remember that? Like, they used to have wrestling stores in malls, like stores that were dedicated to wrestling.
Wow.
Like,
Oh my
DVD,
God, no. Yeah,
T-shirt,
no.
merchandise, like it was a thing. And so The Rock came there to do a signing and a meet and greet and stuff like that. And, you know, I was working, kind of training to be a wrestler with that group. And The Rock came, and then we all ate dinner at Texas Steakhouse across the street. And he was just so funny, man, and entertaining, like, and it's just so nice and kind. And he was already big. Like, he wasn't like superstar like he is now, but
Yeah.
you know, he was already popular, you know, super popular at the time. But he was still just like so nice and humble and like such a good dude. So I've always been a Rock fan. I like him a lot.
Wow.
Are you gonna watch? I ask Adam this. Are you gonna watch Young Rock? I'm actually interested in it. I hadn't watched it yet. Just curious, since you like The Rock a lot.
Dude, I haven't checked it out yet. I definitely want to see it.
It looks cool. It looks cool.
Yeah, I definitely want to see it. I honestly, man, like, you know, he's done some questionable movie roles, but you know, he's man, such a good dude, man. Like, hell, I think, like, was it 2019? He was like the highest paid actor in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And he still occasionally does the wrestling thing, like, not for any reason. Like, you don't need to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
true.
I mean, and like, you can't, like, he's one of those people, like, you see him in the gym and stuff, and it's just like, you can't hate on that. Like, he literally puts the work in, and he's got so many hands in so many different pies, like with XFL and like
so many things.
And it's just, and tequila, and now,
dude, I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find it amazing, you know, that like he kind of has, like, because I feel like we're kind of in this little off topic, but we're all talkers. It's what we do. But it's kind of like, you know, like we've went through kind of this thing where past several years, all like people are known for more than just one thing. Used to, it was like, oh, that's an actor, that's an athlete. And now, like, I feel like he is the
one thing's not enough.
Yeah, he is the epitome of jack of all trades. And I feel like, you know, we were building up to this. Like, you can even look at Chris Jericho, who can do so much, host TV shows, have a rock band, you know, jump in the ring, jump on commentary, host another show, and have a podcast. And I just feel like The Rock is the epitome of all that. And, John
Cena now is following in those footsteps.
Yeah,
exactly. All righty. Well, let's.
Can we real quick sidebar on two things?
Sure, go for it.
Like, so number one, the first sidebar. Also at that wrestling store, Rob Van Dam came there, and me and him got stoned as hell, like super high. I don't smoke weed anymore. Like, don't send the police to my house. It's not legal in North Carolina, and it makes me super paranoid. But when I was younger, man, I asked him if he wanted to smoke a bowl, and obviously it was Rob Van Dam, so he definitely wanted to smoke a bowl. And number two, Chris Jericho used to be my all-time favorite wrestler. I know I don't know how many people would say that,
Adam?
But until 2020, and now I wish he would just go away. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus, I feel like he's ruined his legacy. Please stop. I can't. Like, he's ruined like a whole very amazing career. I won't get into reasons why. It'll
Yeah.
get political and
He's- I
Yeah,
mean,
a bunch of other stuff. So
he still can go, but I see what you mean. I mean, you know, there is
Yeah.
a point where kind of need to stop. You know, so.
Yeah, and plus, like,
But-
you know, also, like, I used to be a big fan of his podcast, and then he started having certain people on, and it's just like, it's not, it wasn't funny, and I don't think it's like, you know, he had a lot of people who were like flat Earth conspiracy theories and all these conspiracy theories.
yeah, dude, you don't give it. I mean, you don't have to give everybody time to speak their opinions.
Yeah,
like,
and
not
it's like,
everybody.
I understand there are like, sure, there's conspiracies and stuff, but I just feel like he pushes it too far, and yeah, that's kind of soured me. He has soured me. But you also can't deny his talent as well in the ring, behind the microphone. But I'm with you on that. I've soured on him quite a bit as of late. So moving on, let's go with this one. I'll go ahead and say brunch or dinner.
So now, 2021 dinner, but pre-COVID brunch. I feel like it's the greatest meal of the day.
Yeah.
It's the most amazing thing ever created, because brunch was created so you can drink alcohol in the morning and not look like an alcoholic. Like, there's so many brunch drinks. Like, Bloody Marys are amazing. Mimosas are amazing. Like, they're so good. And like, I can drink a Bloody Mary and they're like, oh, okay, not a big deal. It's 10:30 in the morning, 11 o'clock in the morning. That's just, that's a brunch drink.
Yeah.
But a huge fan of brunch. Hopefully, we pass everything with COVID and I can start feeling safe to take my family out to brunch again.
Yeah.
Because I definitely miss it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's actually a place in Raleigh that Brian would take me to. I forgot the name of it. Brian, what was the name of it?
Of course, you had to say that.
Relish.
Yeah, there we go. Relish. Yeah.
Oh, I love
really
me Relish.
I like Relish, man. I think it's such a good bourbon menu too. Such a good bourbon menu.
Yeah, he hasn't let me sample that.
So you've been several times, Alan, to Relish? Yeah, that's just, I live like half a mile from there. So
they age their own whiskey, like their house whiskey. They have a barrel, and they age their own whiskeys there.
Oh, I did not know that. Wow.
I did not know that either.
It's good.
All right, well, let's do one last one, and I'm going to go ahead and throw this one out there unless Brian has any more. I'm going to say the Undertaker or Shawn Michaels.
So definitely the Undertaker. My two all-time least favorite wrestlers are Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. I can't stand Shawn Michaels. I hate his whole character. Like, I don't disparage his talent and how he was a great, but I hate Shawn Michaels. Never liked the whole. I never even liked the whole Shawn Michaels Bret Hart feud, because I think Bret Hart is super boring, and I think Shawn Michaels, especially at the time, was a super douchebag. So absolutely Undertaker. Not just that, like, growing up like a punk goth kid, I like the evil Undertaker, the whole satanic, I'm going to sacrifice you and kill you, the Druids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he put Stephanie up on the Undertaker symbol, that was prime wrestling, like, fandom right there for me. That was great.
Yeah.
Or like when he looked back in the limo and said, "Where to, Stephanie?" Like, that was great.
Yeah, me too. I love that, like, version of Undertaker, and kind of wish I'd been like more present when when that was happening. Well, Brian, did you have anything, Brian?
I was going to ask, speaking of Taker, I got to ask you this one, classic. Taker or Sting? Taker or Sting? Real quick.
Definitely Sting, because, and I'm so sad that we never ever got.
I know.
Like, I wish Sting would have, like in the early 2000s, would have like, just, man, come on, just come in. I'm so bummed about his whole WWF run or WWE run.
I know.
It was sad. There was no reason for him to job out to Triple H. The whole match was a cluster. I at one time seriously contemplated getting a Sting Crow tattoo, because I know he didn't wrestle pretty much all of '97, but I feel like it was the greatest angle ever in wrestling, ever.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't end well. They ruined it. Bischoff said it was because Sting wasn't tan and he was going through a divorce and his mind wasn't in it. But whatever, man. Like, I don't know. I wasn't there. We can't tell what was what. But I don't know if you listened to the podcast, 83 Weeks, where they talked about the reason they kind of went with that finish is Sting wasn't tan when he showed up, and Connor just like lost his shit. Like, what? You mean he wasn't tan?
Wow.
Definitely Sting. Love Sting. Like, after in my childhood, after Dusty Rhodes, it was Sting. It kind of was my next all time my favorite wrestler. So definitely Sting.
Okay. Yeah, can't go wrong with Sting. So.
Yeah. Well,
right.
Alan, man, we appreciate you kind of jumping in with us, doing a little member spotlight. I know it was kind of impromptu from Sunday, but man, we appreciate having you part of the group. You've brought a new enthusiasm, and you're one of those that have kind of injected like conversation, and also you've done great in the picks themselves, and so we just appreciate having you in the group and you being a vocal member of our group.
Yeah, something I want to add, man. Like, I wish. I'm glad we started the kind of discussion group, and I know everybody doesn't want to be part of that, so I think it's good that it's a kind of a separate thing. I wish there was more involvement, especially during pay-per-views. I don't know about everybody else, but I don't really have anybody, especially now. I don't have anybody to watch wrestling with really, so I enjoy the interaction, and so I think it would be great to, even if people like disagree or they think different opinions, as long as we're talking about wrestling and not getting into anything else, and that's all we're talking about, and kind of keeping it light. And I mean, it'd be great if we could get more of that.
And that's kind of the reason why we started doing these member spotlights and stuff, and even doing the shakedowns, because we wanted to kind of try to cultivate that community, because we used to have a little bit of that when we actually used to do pay-per-view viewings. We'd all chip in and watch the show together. And everybody would pay a few bucks, and we'd have that conversation. We talk about that.
Now we don't have to pay. Now we're about to get pay-per-views for $5 on Peacock.
Exactly.
And to watch. And I mean, I'm kind of excited because I pay for the network, but my something we did mention, I got married last month, so.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, congrats, man.
So, but my wife, she pays for Peacock, so I'm about to save $10 a month.
Yeah, there you go. I know that's a good deal, because you get all those shows plus wrestling, so can't beat that.
Yeah, but kind of looking back on it, when it was great for our wallets when they did the WWE Network, but it also that's when people stopped coming to viewings, and we stopped doing as many viewings, because of course it also didn't help that we started moving across the state and stuff. But that's something we want to try to do, especially once things open back up even more and it's safer. We want to actually try to do more viewings. It's because I think if we can get people to kind of be in the room together or be in an event together, they start getting more comfortable and they'll be more willing to chat on the discussion board. Because I think that's one of the things.
I haven't really participated in any, but I know they have the Facebook group live meetings or whatever, and watching together and all that stuff. I don't know how that really works. I haven't checked it out, but I mean, that's something I'd be interested in.
Yeah, I mean, that might be something because we've talked about doing some like watch alongs.
Yeah,
and
we have.
That's something we kind of do want to start looking into because that way, you don't blow up the discussion board, the discussion page with, spoilers and stuff when people haven't watched it yet.
I know.
But
Right,
you also
exactly.
you still want to have that, and like you can always mute that, like you can not go to it if you're not watching it. But it's just cool to be able to respond and talk live as it's happening, and like it's just like even like this Sunday, right? It was Elimination Chamber was Sunday.
Yeah.
Like that's one of those things where like the Miz cashing in, and the Bobby Lashley, like that's stuff that would be cool to be together.
Thumbs up for me. Thumbs up for this.
Exactly. And like, I'm fine with whatever, but like I don't know. It feels like he's just like a transitional champion, but maybe that's not what happened.
I think
he definitely is. He is.
And so
he's gonna drop it.
Yeah. And so I don't know, but again, that kind of creates great discussion. The Royal Rumble is another great pay-per-view where it was always fantastic having people get together and just watch it and lose their when somebody comes out.
SummerSlam's a lot of fun. Biggest party of the summer. That was actually you probably didn't know this, Alan, but that was our first get together as a group. Back in 2005 when it was Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio for the custody of Dominic. That's the first pay-per-view we watched together. So SummerSlam. So that's pretty cool. So
we literally had a planning get together, Alan. Like I went over to my house because we were trying to figure out if we could get everybody in there because like there's a little small living room. We did a sign and all this stuff. We were kids.
It was fun.
It was great. Fun. But man, again, we do appreciate you.
What do y'all think about Dominic wrestling?
Man, I'm surprised. I am like, it's one of those things where like I'm like, okay, well. But he totally surprised me at how well he stepped up, especially. And I know, like it's like Seth Rollins and stuff, so it's not like he's in there.
Yeah, he's a great wrestling performer.
Yeah,
he was wrestling with Drew Gulak and all, or Buddy Murphy. He's been with some great performers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's held his own and has had some fun matches, like that I have enjoyed watching, and some storylines that I've enjoyed. And so I'm very surprised and happily surprised. I'm interested to see where he goes. But
he's got a lot of potential.
Yeah, if you'd asked me like all those years ago at SummerSlam, if he'd be in the ring in 2020, I mean. But yeah, it's insane how far how far we've come, and like now we got Rey Mysterio's son, who could have been Eddie Guerrero's son back then. How did that match even end? Did Rey?
Ray won.
Okay,
that was good. That was a good.
That
was a good match.
Yeah, I remember that being a great match. But
that was a good SummerSlam. Yeah.
So all right. Well, we're going to go ahead and end this now. But again, Alan, we want to thank you so much for joining us and letting us get to know you a little bit. And we really look forward to having plenty more conversations with you in the future.
Yeah.
All right, awesome, fellas.
Okay, cheers. So cheers. I mean, it's tea, but cheers. So I'm going to end the recording now. And Alan, you can hang out with us for a minute if you don't mind.
Yep.
All right.